Next, the bosun and the ordinary seaman opened the aft booby hatch of number 2 hold and opened the stool space manhole. The ordinary seaman then opened the forward booby hatch of number 3 hold, entered inside and opened the manhole for the stool space, which had 32 bolts. Number 3 hold was the designated ballast hold. While the ordinary seaman was opening the aft stool space manhole in number 3 hold, the chief officer came on deck and joined the bosun. When the ordinary seaman came out, he saw the chief engineer walking towards the chief officer. At about this time, chief officer called the bridge using the bosun's walkie-talkie and asked the duty officer to call the engine room and inform the electrical officer to join them. "Bosun, give me your walkie-talkie." "Bridge, this is the chief officer from deck calling. Come in."
"Bridge here. Go ahead, Chief."
"Please call engine room and ask the electrical officer to join us on deck."
"Sir, we are going aft to open the other stool space manholes."
The bosun and the ordinary seaman then proceeded towards number 4 hold and entered the forward booby hatch to open the stool space manhole. After opening the forward stool space manhole inside hold 4, they opened the number 3 hold aft booby hatch, and the ordinary seaman went down and opened the manhole for the stool space. When the ordinary seaman had come out and was standing near the aft entrance of hold 3, the electrical officer saw the bosun and the ordinary seaman and asked them where the chief officer and the chief engineer were.
"Bosun, where is the chief officer and the chief engineer?"
"They are near forward entrance of hold 3.
"Okay."
After being informed by the bosun, the electrical officer proceeded to hold 3 forward entrance. The electrical officer, on reaching the forward entrance of hold 3, did not find the chief officer or the chief engineer. While standing near number 3 hold forward entrance, he smelt an offensive gas emanating and moved away. Still unable to locate the chief engineer and the chief officer, the electrical officer peeped into the forward booby hatch of number 3 hold while holding his nose. To his total shock, he saw the chief officer half lying at the first platform, nearly on top of the chief engineer, with their legs entangled and with hands stretched upwards. The electrical officer immediately raised an alarm. He first rushed aft and informed the bosun that both the chief officer and the chief engineer had collapsed inside the number 3 hold forward entrance and asked him to get the self-contained breathing apparatus.
"Bosun, chief officer and chief engineer have fallen inside the hold 3. Rush and get the SCBA fast."
"Oh my God!"
The electrical officer then ran forward to the forepeak store and rang the general alarm. When the electrical officer returned, the ordinary seaman joined him with the SCBA. The ordinary seaman then made a man entry into the hold 3 wearing the SCBA while the electrical officer was standing by on top. The ordinary seaman, on getting down to the first platform, in an attempt to avoid stepping on the chief engineer and the chief officer, by mistake opened the bypass valve of the self-contained breathing apparatus. On getting the rush of air in the mask, he panicked and came up. The rest of the crew was now at the scene. The electrical officer wore another self-contained breathing apparatus and entered the hold to rescue the chief officer and the chief engineer, and carried a rope with him. On reaching the first platform, he tied the rope to the leather belt which the chief officer was wearing, and the crew on top started heaving the limp body of the chief officer. While heaving, the chief officer's body got entangled at the booby hatch bottom lip. As a result, the belt to which the rope was tied gave way. The chief officer's body fell on top of the electrical officer and dislodged his SCBA mask. On smelling some gas, the electrical officer rushed up the ladder. On coming out, the electrical officer observed that Master had just arrived at the scene. The master now took charge and sent the second engineer down with a fresh self-contained breathing apparatus with a safety line and a safety harness.
Second, you wear the self-contained breathing apparatus to go down to rescue the chief officer and the chief engineer. Do take the safety harness with you.
Both bodies were subsequently retrieved. CPR and oxygen resuscitation commenced immediately for both chief officer and the chief engineer. Master divided the crew into two groups to administer first aid.